Bengals took care of their job last night, but they're still very much on the outside looking in. They need both the Broncos and Dolphins to lose today. Cincinnati did win 5 straight to win their regular season after starting 4-8, but it may be too little too late. So as far as the early game is concerned yesterday, Ravens take care of business. We'll talk more about them later. Let's dive into this game here. Let's start with Cincinnati. If they get in, they'll be the 7, which means they would open next week at Buffalo. If Burrow gets in, can he go there and beat Josh Allen?
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody in the AFC wants the Bengals in, right? Listen, this offense has been elite all year. I mean, putting up almost 30 points a game, especially the last 8-10 weeks. I mean, Burrow's been on fire. But to me, the difference is the Cincinnati defense, right? They were abysmal early in the year, and they've really come on strong. Again, last week made the plays in that overtime game against the Broncos to get the win, and then absolutely shut out. I mean, I know Pittsburgh offense isn't totally dynamic, but holding them at home to under 200 yards, I mean, they really took over this game. Trey Hendrickson, right? I mean, this was T.J. Watt's house, not last night. I mean, he took this game over. Again, if they get in, they're going to be dangerous.
Now, I want to pump the brakes a little bit here because absolutely, it's going to be hard for them. I think it's going to be hard for anybody to go up there to play Buffalo. I know they're playing hot right now. I don't think that defense has enough to stop Josh Allen, in my opinion. But yes, Cincinnati has done enough to win these games in the end. I mean, I think situationally for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that was a fail, but the Hendrickson sack at the end, I mean, the last couple weeks, guys, some player on the Cincinnati defense has find a way to make a play. It was Hendrickson last night, and that's how they win.
Yeah, and let's face it, you only need a couple of stops.
Yes.
That's it.
And that's it, because Joe Burrow is playing at such a high level. I mean, nobody wants to see him. And quite honestly, teams that win a lot of times have the best quarterback in these playoffs. And who's playing better than Joe Burrow? How about probably nobody?
Yep. BG, you've played against him, obviously, against Joe Burrow. What makes him so good?
Because you can sack him 7 times and he still go for 400 yards. Because he can really pop off at any time, and I know that him and Jamar Chase has that relationship from college, and that's always a plus when you can play with a guy that you play with for so many years.
Yeah, what I noticed early, I mean, you want to stop Jamar Chase, you want to get on T. Higgins, but I mean, Mike Gesicki. Early on, I mean, this guy had 10 targets, I mean, for 8 receptions, but he had 4 receptions in the first quarter. So it's like, okay, we come out, we want to take away the receivers. They got this Gesicki in there that he's called a tight end, okay, fellas, but this is a big wide receiver. And this is a guy that's also performed for them. Burrow can find anyone. That's how good he's been.
By the way, the Bengals are going to finish this season as the first team in history to have the league leader in passing yards, the league leader in receiving yards, and the league leader in sacks. They will have all 3 of those, and they are still overwhelmingly unlikely to make the playoffs, which is remarkable. Let me go to the other side.
Yeah.
Rex, a month ago, we are lauding the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are lauding what Mike Tomlin has done. 4 losses later, what happened?
No, I mean, not everybody was.
That's
all right,
fair.
because, I mean, look, this is what happened. Their defense is not as good as we think, all right? And then offensively, 200 yards against the Bengals? Like, no, this team looks like a one and done again. And let's face it, 5 years in a row, 5 losses in a row in playoff games. That Bonnet defense, Steeler defense, averaged giving up 40 points a game in those losses. So Tomlin, as great a coach as he is, they have not had recent success in the playoffs, and I certainly don't expect them to have success this year.
What's interesting is this, as bad as they looked at times last night, they played exactly the way they wanted to get the game the way they wanted it to be in the end. All right. Situationally, I've said this about this team before. They can beat good teams. They just have to play perfect. And they got them to the end in the last drive, and to where you have to play perfect now to win this game. To make a couple plays, Russell makes a critical mistake, okay? Hendrickson makes a play, and then all of a sudden we're talking about timeouts and situations that they had their opportunity and they failed situationally.
No doubt. They wanted this game ugly. It was ugly. And when you're going to play like that, you're right, you have to be good situationally. And they were exactly the opposite. They missed a ton of opportunities. George Pickens, I mean, 1 catch on 6 targets for 0 yards. Again, the story of the night, I think, missed opportunities.
BG, your Eagles just played them recently. Limited, I think, is the word that people were using to describe their offense. What did you see from Pittsburgh's offense?
Well, you know what? If they can't get the run going, they can't get their play action going and getting receivers open. But we didn't have George Pickens, and he didn't play against us. And so we knew we had a really good chance, especially because Russell, he was playing good, but they didn't get the run going with us. And then, you know what else? Just to add to what you guys are saying, the turnovers. They was leading the league in turnovers, and that's what they didn't get in this game. They didn't get the turnovers that they normally get to bail them out, that they normally that normally happen. So when you say the defense hasn't been playing good, it's really the turnovers that's been bailing them out. T.J. Watt.
And so the Steelers leave the door open. Not only don't they win the division, they leave the door open to falling to the 6th seed today, depending on what the Chargers do, which could determine they may wind up in Baltimore next week. We will see.
Greedy, we're going to lay this out looking at the potential playoff matchups starting on Wild Card Weekend. We're going to start in the AFC. Biggest thing clearly on the line is that final playoff spot, the 7th seed. Broncos win, they get it. If they lose and the Dolphins beat the Jets, Miami would get in. Bengals are hoping both of those teams lose, and then Cincinnati would make the playoffs.
And keep in mind, Evan, this game is in Denver. It is as big a home game as the Broncos have had in a long time. The last time they went to the playoffs was when Peyton Manning led them to a Super Bowl win over Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. Huge game today in Denver.
Yeah, 8-season drought for the Broncos in terms of making the playoffs. The other thing that's on the line in the AFC, look at the 5 seed versus the 6 seed. If the Chargers beat the Raiders, they are the number 5 seed and would go to Houston in the wild card round. That means the Steelers, who have lost 4 in a row, would have to go to the rival Ravens next weekend.
And I don't think the Steelers care where they go because 2 weeks ago in Week 16, they played the Ravens and nearly beat the Ravens and beat the Ravens earlier this season. I know a lot of people think that the Steelers would have been better off in Houston. I don't think the Steelers as an organization care much.
All right, so let's go to the NFC now, where there's a lot more that still needs to be decided. Look at this. The Eagles are the only team that have locked in their seed, and we've got to start with a massive game tonight. Lions against the Vikings. The winner is the number 1 seed and gets the only bye. The loser goes down to the 5 seed and plays on the road next weekend.
And the Detroit Lions never have been the number 1 seed in the history of their franchise. They have not hosted a conference championship game since December 1957. If they win tonight, they take a major step closer to doing that.
Crazy. We'd only need 1 win in the divisional round and then could host that game. And the other big thing to be decided, obviously, the NFC South. If the Buccaneers beat the Saints, they are the South champs. If the Bucs lose and the Falcons win, they would win the division. But look at this as well. The 3 and 4 seed is also big in the NFC, and the Rams, who are resting Matthew Stafford today, if they lose and the Buccaneers win, LA drops down to the 4 and would have to play the loser of this Vikings-Lions game tonight next week in the wild card round.
And like the Steelers, I don't think they care. They took the Lions to overtime in Detroit in Week 1. They beat Minnesota in LA. That's why the Rams are taking an unofficial bye today, because they're ready for whichever matchup is next weekend.
Greeny, so much on the line in terms of who gets in, but also where the seeds line up for the rest of the playoffs.
So, on my weekday show on Get Up, I feel like the collective reaction to that decision was, I get it, but I hate it. Now, Brandon Graham has played more games as a Philadelphia Eagle than any player in franchise history, so no one knows the inner workings better than you do. Take us through how that decision got made.
Well, I mean, with our coach, he called everybody, and everybody everybody wanted to do it. They wanted to do it, but I think we learned from last year with AJ going out, and we didn't have him in the first round of playoffs. We had to learn from our mistakes from last year, and I know Saquon, he's really good about it. The O-line definitely good about it now, because you got to put team into something that we want. We said we want something bigger, and we know what's at stake. So we got to have them.
Yeah, I think first of all, I mean, just kudos to Sirianni. I mean, even taking the input from the players and then hearing that everybody wanted to go for it, because I think it's something that could have been done. I just disagree so much, because I just think it was a lock. I mean, you're playing the Giants. He averaged 10 yards a carry, I think, the last time he played him. Can you get it in a half and get him out? And I remember going for the 16-0 record. I mean, we had the bye wrapped up, right? But it was just important for us as a team to get it as a team, because I think this rushing record is a unit record. And, I mean, I was watching Brady get 50 touchdowns and Moss get 23 touchdowns in that last game. And, I mean, we had nothing to do with that defensively, but still taking pride in that, and then getting that with that, taking that momentum with that and getting to the Super Bowl, at least that's like we did. We lost to the Giants, of course, in that Super Bowl, but still, I think the team coming together for that team goal was very valuable. That's why.
I mean, you said, you heard Lane Johnson say, let's not get greedy. You said there's nothing wrong with being greedy.
Can we be greedy? We can get a little bit greedy. It's okay. Saquon came from New York. Do you think Saquon almost changed a little bit of the culture of that team?
I think that he came into a culture he came into this culture already. I know that he added to. He added to it because they do a great job with the Eagles on the culture in that building. I mean, when they go through the draft, they really do their homework on guys and make sure that they fit a good fit for them. And even if they are troubled, the culture of the locker room and the people in the building. I mean, shout out to our chefs, shout out to our strip staff. Like, everybody plays a role in that because even like a guy like Mekhi Becton, man, he came in, was so excited to be with us.
As a captain on that team, though, let's talk about that culture because that's obviously critical, and you're a huge piece in the middle of that. And there have been some issues. We saw it last season, and we saw it a little bit this year in that incident that took place between A.J. and Jalen Hurts, the quarterback. And you were, to some degree, in the middle of all of that. Now that we've had a chance to sleep on it, if you will, for several months, how did that all play out, and where does it sit now?
Well, I just wanted us all on the same page, and I'm glad that happened. And I know I've talked to the team, let them know that, I shouldn't have put that out there as far as, not talking to the guys and putting that distraction up. But like I say, I just wanted us all to be on the same page. And I feel like, man, you seen that next one, the next game, and felt great. Because all I want to do is see them guys win. Because we are too good and to have an opportunity of a lifetime. Just like you said with Saquon right now, he has an opportunity, but we know it's something way bigger. Just like that, like a little thing that could turn big in a moment that we don't want it to turn big. And I know that everybody's on the same page. And I'm proud of the team on how we all handled it.
Sometimes the best leaders create conflict on purpose. And I mean, if that was your intention, that's definitely a good thing for me, because some of the best locker rooms that I've been in have definitely had conflict that you've had to go through. And I'm telling you, watching your team over the course of the year, I mean, thinking Nick Sirianni is a hothead. I mean, hearing Saquon basically quote Sirianni sometimes in a press conference, you can't be great without the greatness of others.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I've even learned this stuff. You know what I mean? Because it's just pushed so much from Sirianni. I think you guys are on the same page, and that's the most strongest thing sometimes, when the culture and everyone's on the same page.
BJ, I feel like people have a perception from the outside of Nick Sirianni, but of course we don't know him. You do. What is it that people don't see in him?
Well, they don't see the behind the scenes. I mean, whoever does, but I know he calls everybody. He talks about the tough conversations that sometimes some coaches don't do because they got other people to do that for them. But I know Nick is heavily involved. I just remember at 2-2, me and him talking, just saying, Coach, just stay being you, baby. And he want me to enjoy my journey of where I am, even now, being hurt. Enjoy the journey. You still enjoying it? And he always asks me that. And I just know, man, he's grown over these last 4 years I've been with him, and every year has gotten better. But those little things never slip by because he always talks about those, as you know, and situational ball. And, man, we couldn't have a greater head coach, somebody that just want to learn from the players, coach / got to be strict when he have to. He ain't perfect, as you know, but I just know that his heart is in the right place, and that's all you want from a coach.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I mean, I can't say enough about the job he's done this year. I mean, sometimes the toughest job for a head coach is to bring them on the other side of controversy. I mean, there was a lot. I mean, the new coordinators, things he had to go through at the beginning of the year, you know, what he was doing in the stands with the fans, and to get through all that and come to the other side and be successful, all of those hats that you says he wears, I mean, it's a great job by Nick Sirianni.